welcome to the Dits on Wrestling podcast, the podcast that you never even asked for. Episode 14. We are flying through. And today marks a change in Dits on Wrestling. It's a new dawn, you could say. Now, yes, there are changes structurally. Content-wise, things are going to be a little bit different. But that is not to say that I didn't enjoy the stuff that I was doing before. Because I did. I enjoyed the structure. I liked doing the highlights and recommends. When I did the news, I enjoyed that. The Q&As, which I've just brought in, enjoyed doing that as well. But sometimes you have to adapt. And the only way to improve your podcast or, whatever you are creating, sometimes the best way to do it is to adapt. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just mixing things up because I think it's due a little bit of a change. And from the get-go, from the teaser, which was back in April, which is 3.5 months ago, I think was when I did it. I promised, I didn't promise, so you can't promise that it's going to be this, but I wanted it to be one of the most interactive podcasts, wrestling podcasts that there is. And at the moment, I do that with the power rankings that I do every week, but sometimes I don't even record an episode for it, so it doesn't really count. And, I read out people's tweets for Raw and Smackdown, and that's it. And then obviously the Q&As as well that I've started doing. But that's it. So I think it's about time that I follow through on that. So this is what's going to happen. And it starts today as well. That's the exciting thing. You're listening right now to a brand new Dits on Wrestling podcast, a brand new feel for the Dits on Wrestling podcast. And what you're going to get Raw and Smackdown highlights regardless, because that was the core of this. Always has been, and to be honest, it always will be. But it's always just been me talking about Raw and Smackdown. And I think it's time I open that up a little bit. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be every week, but occasionally I may just have somebody on to do Raw and Smackdown highlights with me. It keeps things nice and fresh, and it gives, an extra take on Raw and Smackdown. Rather than just listening to me and my one opinion, you can get two. What more could you want? On top of that, you're still going to get the tweets, still going to read out the tweets, but I'm also going to be doing voice clips now as part of hashtag Spin Your Dits. You get an opportunity to spin your dits on Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view. You send me the voice clip. You just throw me a DM. Say that you're interested, or I'll approach you and say, hey, do you fancy doing a voice clip? You'll send that to me in an email. Bang, I'll get it in the show. There you go. You've got 2 minutes on the Dits on Wrestling podcast. Happy days. So that's another way of getting you guys involved. And then on top of that, Recommends is gone. DOW Recommends is no more because I couldn't do it justice. I mean, last week I threw out a theme that I recommended. It was running out of steam, and I'd already recommended all my favorite, podcasts and people and stuff like that. So I was running out of ideas. So now the final segment, unless I'm doing Q&As, the final segment is going to be topical. So we're going to talk about something. It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to talk about something. Or we're going to do interviews. So, for example, today, the final segment of this episode, I'm joined by Josh Robinson, and we're going to talk about the 24/7 Championship. There you go. Something completely different. Not been done on the show before. And that's what you're getting. So this is it. This is a new feel for the podcast. It's still the same. It's still me. It is still me. I'm not changing, but it's just opening the door for other people to come in and join me, because I had the DOW tag topics, which was separate to the weekly stuff, which I'm still going to do because that's where all my in-depth chat with, people, whoever wants to come and talk to me about wrestling. But that's where I'm going to be doing my deeper stuff. But this is just going to be the stuff that you can just, you kind of focus on. You can talk about it for 20 minutes, and that's all that's needed. So, yeah. This is it. This is going to be a lot of fun, I feel. And I really hope that you guys enjoy it as much as I think you will, because it is a change, but I think it's a good change. But only time will tell. You will listen to this episode today, and you will tell me, whether it was good or bad, whether you enjoyed it or not. I'm always open to feedback. But yeah, that is the route we are taking. And I have to be honest with you, I am excited as... Okay, what's going on? Hello? Alright, right, come on, what's happening? Imaginary producer, what's going...
Dude, I think it's working.
What is this? I do not like this sneaking around.
Dude, I think we're actually on the show. Dits on Wrestling Podcast right now.
What is that? You did not ask. You did not ask to be on the show. That is not right.
Dude, I know I didn't ask, but, no one will ever let us on their show because they say I'm too annoying and they say you're too mean.
Well, you are very annoying. That is very true. You are the most annoying man.
All right, come on. Anyways, we're on the show right now, Boris. What should we do? What should I say?
You say nothing. You shut your mouth. I will say I love the man's new outfit. That is very right.
Oh my gosh, Boris, don't stop it, please.
It was so very good.
All right, everyone knows. The man had a nice outfit, all right. But I don't even know what to say. The 24/7 championship.
That is right, Eva Marie, the very angry, pregnant Eva Marie.
Dude, oh my gosh, it's not Eva Marie. It's Maria Kanellis.
It is Eva Marie. She is very red. All over the red.
Oh my gosh, you always gotta be a creep. Why? Just... I don't know how long this is gonna last, but anyways, we're losing signal, Boris. We're losing it.
We should lose it. This is not right to be on the show without asking. That is no right. You should be punched in the face.
I probably will be, but anyways, I'm Bart.
And I am Boris, and this is the Super Short Report. Very right.
Have you got it back? Hello? Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah, I can hear it again. What the hell was that? Did we just get hacked? Jesus. Right. Imaginary producer Brian. Right, up our security. That is never going to happen again. I have no idea what the hell that just was, but I am not having that on this podcast. Filth. Sort it out. This is supposed to be a Mac. This is supposed to be the greatest security ever. And it's not. Sort it out. I'll have to fire you like I did the last guy. Imaginary guy that isn't in front of me. Sort it out, Brian. Oh, dear. That was embarrassing. Don't worry. I will have it sorted so that will never happen again, okay? I promise you it won't happen again, okay? So, Jesus, that's really ruined my trail of thought and the momentum I had going on here. Well, I guess we need to go into Raw highlights. Yeah, we'll do that. Unless somebody else wants to try and hack into this. No? Good. I mean, Steph can hack into it. Steph's fine because she's our segue. So, off you go, Steph. Hack away.
Welcome to Monday Night Raw!
You know, it really is a breath of fresh air when I can actually say that Raw is really consistent right now. And I mean really consistent. I have not seen, personally, a bad episode of Raw for about a month and a half. And a month and a half ago, or 2 months ago, when Raw was, bad, I never thought so soon that I would be saying that it's consistently good. But that is where we are. And there's quite a few highlights for today's show, and I'm just going to get straight into it. The opening was great. You know, we're going to talk about it later on in the show with Josh. But the 24/7 Championship really is a success. It started really bad, but now look at it. It's not. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it is near perfect. It's entertaining every single week, and 90% of the time, you get good stuff, and just the occasional flub. But even there, it's still entertaining. So you can't go wrong with the 24/7 belt. And we even got a video package to start Raw about the 24/7 Championship. So it is held in high regard at the moment with WWE. They've acknowledged that it is over. The match itself was completely throwaway. But, you know, the main thing that came out of it was that Mike Kanellis picked up the win. The whole, the mosh pit dived onto everybody, but Mike Kanellis was the one that got there first. He picked up the win. New 24/7 champion. Good segment. Great stuff. And then we went backstage. Everybody chased him. It was a lot of fun. And then Maria demanded to get in the room that he was hiding in, and said that she would, I think she said she'd hit him in the vagina, which I had to rewind it and kind of go, did I just hear Maria say vagina on WWE TV? I don't think I've ever heard vagina on WWE TV before. And hey, people say, and have been saying all week, that Renee is bad at commentary. But she said, yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. Or she said something like words to that effect after Maria had said that. And I thought that was a nice touch. And that's what we get with Renee. We get stuff like that, and that's why she's good. Okay, she's different from Michael Cole, and that, I'm telling you now, is a very, very good thing. But yeah, that opening segment was great, really fun. Standard stuff really with the 24/7 Championship, and that's not the only highlight, but we'll come to that. Then we had the gauntlet match, and we seem to, be in a state of, millions of 2 out of 3 falls matches, and plenty of gauntlet matches. I think I'm just going off memory here, but I only remember seeing, maybe 1 or 2 gauntlet matches every year and a half. Like, they were so spaced apart that when they happened, it was this is a big deal. Like, there's a gauntlet match happening tonight, and that usually means, something big's, going to happen, whether it's, like it was last night at Raw. I say last night, comes out on a Thursday, so it's a few days ago now. But yeah, whether it's going for a title or whether it's for a championship, usually they were, big deals. But now they just seem to be, they're just being spewed out. I think we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 this year already. And it's probably not the last of them either. But I enjoy them. That being said, I do enjoy a gauntlet match. It gives quite a few people the opportunity to shine. Good stories can come out of it. It's win-win, to be honest. I say try telling that to Sami Zayn this week, who got the wrong end of the stick. He went in hot against Ray, and ended up eating the pin within a matter of 15 seconds or something. I don't like that. Sami, Ray can take losses, and he beats Cesaro and Sami. It is what it is. I like Rey Mysterio as well, but I feel he's at that point where he doesn't need to be doing that. But I don't book the show, so whatever. But the gauntlet match really came in. Cesaro and Rey was good. It was fun, but we've seen all that before. And you could really say the same about Andrade and Rey, because we've seen their stuff before. But their stuff before has been spectacular. And I really enjoyed their stuff again this week. as part of the gauntlet. And this is what I mean when I say you get stories coming out of it. Like, Andrade, not only did he mimic Eddie when he was doing the Three Amigos, taking the piss, he demasked Ray right at the end, which is obviously that's a big no-no with lucha guys. And I mean, there's got to be something coming out of this based on that. So I think we're going to get Andrade and Ray at SummerSlam. I'd like to think that is what we're getting, because I don't think we actually got a pay-per-view match, a pay-per-view payoff from their feud on SmackDown. So this could be that, which I am all for, by the way. And then obviously we had Andrade versus Ricochet in the final match of the gauntlet, which again was a lot of fun. Like, their styles meshed together really, really well. I don't think I've seen them two wrestle before. I might be wrong. But no, I really, really enjoyed it. And I would love to see them do another program, somewhere down the line. Obviously, Ricochet won, and he will take on AJ at SummerSlam. Now, we've had 2 matches between them in the last month. But on a pay-per-view setting, interesting. I am very excited about that. I'm just curious. As long as the club, they don't call that anymore, the OC, stay out of it, it's going to be something really fun, I think. What did we? Here we go. So back to the 24/7 championship. Maria managed to get in the room, and she's been demasculating Mike for a number of weeks now, and that carried on today by saying that her unborn child at least deserves a parent who is a champion. So she got Mike to lay on his back, and she pinned him with her foot. And then she claimed that she was the first ever pregnant champion of all time. And I think that is actually probably true. It would be an absolute bizarre statistic if there was more than one, because it's nuts. But it works perfectly with the 24/7 championship. And I'm really interested to see where this now goes, because obviously she's very limited in what she can do physically. So, I mean, do the guys go to her gynecologist thing on Thursday like she said she was going to be, and pin her while she's in a bed with her legs up? I don't know. That seems to be in the realm of what the 24/7 championship, like the direction it could take. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens. She did a little thing with Braun Strowman backstage. So does that mean he's going to get involved? Who knows? It's crazy, and I love it. I love it. So more of that, please. People are complaining about Maria becoming the champ, but just, like I always say, just switch off your mind, and you will enjoy it. Trust me. And this next highlight is just something that it's just so minimal on the show. Not necessarily blink and you'll miss it, but I'm a big fan of NXT, massive fan of NXT. And what they do really well down there is when they're building feuds or setting up feuds and, continuing feuds, whatever. They do a lot of stuff in the Performance Center. So they'll have a camera down there that is, filming, a couple of wrestlers training together. And then, somebody will come in and attack another person. Or they'll recently, especially, they've been using security camera footage from the Performance Center. And that's stuff they do really, really well. And it works. And they kind of did that on Raw this week, where Natty was training in the ring with Finlay, trying to find counters to the disarmer, and then Becky ran in and locks Natty in the disarmer, and I loved that. I thought that was a really good addition to their feud that they've got going on, and because it had that little bit of NXT flavor to it, I thought it was great. And yeah, more of that, please. I'm actually really enjoying the Becky Natty thing at the moment. Natty is, and I'm not just saying this because she follows me on Twitter, by the way. No, she really has come into her own in this feud. I've actually really, really enjoyed the stuff that she's done with Becky so far. And I'm glad that she's doing that with Becky, because Becky is the perfect person to bounce off when you've got like serious and fiery Natty. So I am actually really enjoying that stuff. But yeah, the NXT style, beginning training thing, Becky interrupting, 2 thumbs up from me. Now, I actually skipped through most of this next highlight. And, not because I didn't want to watch it, because I did. It's just I was running out of time to be able to fit Raw in before I started recording. So I pressed fast forward, and I'm talking about the tag team title match, the triple threat, by the way. And it was, from what I saw, obviously I didn't skip the whole thing. I always, get to the hot tags, watch those, and then just, build it up around that. From what I saw, it was fun. It was a good match. From the hot tags on. But the highlight for me was OC winning the tag team championship. As much as I completely stan the Revival, I just love the fact that Gallows and Anderson were very, very close to leaving the company, only a matter of months ago. And now, here they are with the tag team belts in, featuring heavily on Raw with AJ, of all people. Brilliant. And I love that they've now been given this push. They now have the titles. It's just, it's good to see it. They've been in limbo for so long. It's completely directionless. And, it's not necessarily their fault. They just didn't have anything for them. That's just the way it is. But now seeing them with the belts on them, highlight for me. Absolute highlight for me. Loved it. Now, the next 2 highlights were the best highlights of the show. One more so than the other because of just how brutal it was. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. When I say the word brutal, I'm talking about Lesnar absolutely destroying Seth Rollins. I didn't see it coming. I don't think anybody saw it coming. I don't think Brock was advertised for the show. So to see him come out, to begin with, it was just like, what's Brock doing here? Is he just going to stand there and Steph's going to get distracted and Dolph's going to get a roll up and, Brock's going to go in, just give him an F5, do his little jiggery pokery thing on the spot and then head up and then boom, there's the end of Raw. But no, it did not happen that way. We got the destruction of Seth Rollins on Raw, and it was so much fun. It was I'm not saying I'm I'm not a Seth guy, but I do like Seth Rollins. But because of a little bit of the way he's been acting on Twitter recently, he has been a bit of an idiot on there. To watch him get pummeled, I think I enjoyed it more than I should have enjoyed it. And on the other side of it, I am a Lesnar guy. I do love Brock Lesnar. I think he's brilliant for what he does. I don't necessarily agree with him, holding the belt for as long as he has over the last, over a number of reigns, not just the reign he has now. But I've always liked Brock Lesnar. And to see him in this kind of brutality, it popped me. The stuff on the chair just looked absolutely insane. And then the stretcher / hospital bed, whatever it was. Oh my God. What a lot of fun that was. And WWE, I think Vince said we were going to be getting an edgier product, but wow. I thought Seth was going to chuck up his organs at one point. He sold it really, really well. But there you go. Give me that Lesnar. Every single week, give me that Lesnar. It was incredible. And I don't know what that stands, Steph for next week or even SummerSlam. he's got to sell that. I mean, if I was Seth, I would probably never be able to wrestle again after that. But no, it was brilliant, and that was my main highlight of the show. It was so good, and I actually thought Raw was going to end at this point, but then I completely forgot about this Samoan Summit, whatever the hell that is, that was supposed to happen, which we didn't end up getting anyway because Joe just said, well, Joe attacked Roman backstage and just said, right, come out and we'll finish it. And then all of a sudden, you just had this really big brawl with guys that really didn't have any reason to be there. They just kind of came out. And, I mean, they're all interlocked in some way, but it was just like, why are you coming out? I mean, I know you're trying to save Wrestler X from getting beaten up by Wrestler Y, so Wrestler Z is going to come out and make the save for Wrestler X, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't mean it wasn't fun. It was fun as hell. There were so many bodies going in there, so much brawling. Then you had Cedric's jump off the set. Oh, what a lot of fun that was. Great way to end Raw. Cedric getting the spotlight on him even more. I mean, does he face Drew at SummerSlam? Maybe it's a kickoff match. I don't know. I mean, personally, I think Drew should win that, but Cedric gets the rub. Because, I mean, it's how can you not get the rub? He's been chasing the 24/7 championship around, but now, just look at him. He's jumping on sets, for crying out loud. Like, I wouldn't say he's over, but, you know, he gets a reaction. So, don't mess this up. Like, you're slowly building Cedric up now. This is like Ali on SmackDown. Just start building Cedric up. Don't throw him in the deep end too soon, and don't pull back on that push either. Just slowly build him, and we'll get something really, really fun. There's a reason why he got endorsed by Triple H in the Cruiserweight Classic all those years ago, and we're starting to see that. And then Raw went off the air after that segment, and yeah, what can I say? It was a really, really fun Raw. Now, what did you guys think of Raw? Well, I've got some tweets for you. Jurassic Mark said that episode Raw was fun, a lot of good in there, and some annoying, but on the up, hopefully. So, yeah, I mean, you're never going to get a perfect show, but it is still good, and it's good to see that I'm not the only one enjoying it, and somebody who can appreciate that Raw is on the rise. It's not on a steady decline anymore, which is good. Matthew French said the Brock Lesnar segments from Raw is some of the best that he's seen from any promotion in a long, long time. Absolutely brilliant. You know, I'd be hard-pressed to argue. And, you know, you're going to get people that go, yeah, whatever. Have you not been watching AEW and New Japan? Like, I agree. Like, the wrestling in those companies, fantastic. The wrestling in WWE, fantastic for the most part. But as far as segments go, as far as like the non-wrestling portion of things, like, it was awesome. I'm capitals awesome is what it was. And Matthew French certainly seems to think so. And I agree with you, Matthew, to be honest. Sam, so at Samis WWE 97, officially caught up on all wrestling I have missed. And she says, I must say, last night's Raw was great. So we have another fan of Monday Night Raw in Sam. So, Sam, I agree with you. Like, I will agree with anybody that says Raw was great. Mark M said, last night's Raw was another entertaining show. There you go. I hope this trend of mixing things up continues. I love seeing different people getting airtime instead of the same 10 people we're forced to look at every single week. Which is true. Now we are getting some new faces. You know, Gallows and Anderson were on the sidelines for so long. They're now the tag team champions. Cedric Alexander's now getting the push he's almost in the main event, essentially. The Viking Raiders are now back in the mix as well, even though they're still fighting jobbers, but whatever. Yeah, we're in a good place at the moment. Wrestle News 365 or 365 tonight is sign a brand new contract and receive a championship absolutely free night. Referring to Gallows and Anderson, who recently signed a contract with the tag team belts, and Mike and Maria Kanellis also signing new contracts recently and holding championship gold as well. So a tongue-in-cheek tweet from Wrestle News 365. Get the tables. I said the feud between Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar was getting stale, but after tonight, they really stepped it up a notch. Plus, that F5 looked brutal. They're referring to the one that Brock did to Seth backstage. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've gone from Rollins impersonating Lesnar to this. So, yeah, they've definitely taken it up a notch. Maybe they should have saved this for the go home. But then would it have been believable if Seth showed up to SummerSlam? And yeah. I hope something good happens next week that is as good as this, or at least on par. And then finally, the Golden Maharaja, in an attempt for an edgier product, WWE allowed Brock Lesnar to commit murder on live TV. And, he's actually got a gif here of Seth landing seemingly bang-on ribs to the chair. Like, oh, God, absolutely brutal. And then your tweets. Absolutely good stuff. Good stuff. Everyone, for the most part, people enjoyed it. Now, as I said in the intro, we have a new way of going around this show. So I'm not just doing tweets. I'm also doing voice clips as well. And the first of those voice clips is happening right now. So I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Deshaun Porter, Big D Zone, at Big D Zone, and he's going to give his little take on Raw.
Okay, this is Prince DJ, and I'm gonna give my thoughts on what I thought about Monday Night Raw. And it was a pretty good show. A lot of great stuff, but there was some stuff that I didn't really like in the broadcast, but all in all, it was a great show. I like all the backstage antics, and especially with the 24/7 title. I love that. You gotta love that. And well, Paul Heyman is doing a great job with the far as the head writing. My only problem is he's a heel, and heels kind of do what heels want to do. I mean, look, he got the belt, he got the Universal title back on Brock Lesnar. That's what he mainly wanted to do. I mean, it was like a breach of power, breach of power. So, all in all, it still is a good Raw, and I can't wait to see the rest of the video from what happened, but not into looking into what happened to Seth Rollins. It was beautiful. It was not beautiful. Oh, you gotta excuse me. This storm has wrecked my brain this morning. Loud thunderstorms and everything, but my thoughts on Raw, anyway, it's still an A+ show. A+ show. Some things are but otherwise, it's an A+ show.
Thank you to at Big D Zone for supplying that voice clip. I do feel a little bit bad because he did submit a 10-minute rundown of Monday Night Raw. And yeah, it was a really good listen. But unfortunately, I had to trim it down so I could, fit everything into the episode this week. It's a very busy episode, so I had to lose some time on that one. But to make it up for it, I will get him back. We do have SummerSlam coming, and I do want to switch the microphone onto you guys for that one. I'm talking predictions. Like what you're looking forward to, or even when I recap SummerSlam, what you thought of the show, that kind of stuff. So we'll definitely get Deshaun back on to the show. But that was Raw. Big D Zone thought it was an A+ show, and he's not far wrong. He really isn't. It was a really, really good show. But can SmackDown keep up that momentum? Because for me, recently, SmackDown has been good, but it hasn't been great. So there's only one way to find out if I thought SmackDown was good this week. And that's by heading into the SmackDown highlights. Shane, take it away.
Welcome everyone to SmackDown Live!
Now, I have a confession to make this week when it comes to SmackDown, and that is that I did not watch the show as I usually would. And it is not my fault. I did try and watch it. I came home from work, and I had the TV to myself, so I thought I'm going to put SmackDown on and get ready to do the highlights. And yeah, that didn't happen. Now, UK fans, UK listeners of this podcast will relate to this if you have Sky Sports. Now, sometimes they decide to change the channel that they broadcast SmackDown on. So if you have a series link set up, which I had, it then disrupts it and therefore does not record SmackDown. And then we don't get the replay until later on in the day. And by then, it's too late. So I had to watch SmackDown via YouTube highlights this week. So the highlights aren't going to be as in-depth as they usually are, which is a shame because I thought SmackDown, looking at the highlights on YouTube, was actually a really good show. Now, straight away, Kevin Owens, I mean, come on. Highlight number one. At the start of the show, brilliant promo, and he's always been really good at promos, but he's really smashing it now that he's a babyface. We can all relate to him. I do like Shane. I'll admit, I do like Shane. But as a character, you know, I know that we're supposed to hate him. We're supposed to despise him. So Kevin Owens is very relatable at the moment. And God, anything that guy does is... My emails are going nuts right now. Anything that he does is gold. And then obviously Drew came out, and another guy that I'm such a huge fan of. He essentially set up the match with Kevin Owens and Drew at the start of the show. Shane ordered it from his life coach lessons, whatever the hell he was doing. And it was a fun little match from what I saw. Good feedback on Twitter about it. And Kevin Owens won clean against Drew McIntyre. Now, Drew is in Samoa Joe territory at the moment where he cannot seem to buy a win. And even when he does pick up wins, it's kind of marred in controversy. I mean, Drew needs more than that. You know, it's frustrating that he's playing lackey at the moment. So I'm hoping as the year goes on, we see a better push for him. That's what I'm gunning for. But no, it was a really, really strong start to SmackDown. And by the way, because I watched these on YouTube, I have no idea what order these were in on the show. So I'm just going to throw random stuff at you. My second highlight was Randy Orton's video package / backstage interview kind of thing. Oh my God. Like that was, I mean, looking at my highlights that I've got down here, apart from Kevin, that was probably my favorite thing that I saw. I've always loved Randy Orton. Always have. I get the criticisms that he receives, but it's just the way he is. That's his character. That's the way he wrestles. It is what it is, and he's been successful at doing it. But the video package, my God, it was so good, really, really good. It's something that WWE are very, very good at doing. Is video packages and little build videos like this. He didn't even need to be on the show there in person. He could just throw this out there. Job done. It solved the match at SummerSlam more than what an in-ring confrontation would have done, or him running into the ring and giving Kofi a RKO. It was brilliant, and it sold Randy just I just saw Randy as just the ultimate heel in this whole thing. Like, he kept Kofi down, and then it brought the Ali thing up from earlier on this year. I mean, and they actually showed the replay of him smacking him in the eye socket. My God, that looked rough. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I'd say that was probably actually my main highlight of SmackDown this week. And that's the joy of YouTube. You get that bit in full. Matches you don't, but you got that bit in full, which was good. God, I mean, this one's frustrating that I wasn't able to watch the whole thing. And that was Kofi versus AJ. Now, I'm sure if I watched it, it would have been a really, really good match. But because YouTube, WWE's YouTube, they condense the matches really down, so you can't get a feel for how it builds from bell to bell. So, I mean, the only thing I really paid attention to was the fact that, well, Kofi won for a start. There was shenanigans, but it didn't affect the outcome, which is good. But to go from a phenomenal forearm into the Trouble in Paradise, it kind of had an element of out of nowhere. You know, Randy in that situation, and he has done it before, has hit RKOs as AJ's been diving in. Now, Kofi seems to have a move where he can do the exact same thing. Trouble in Paradise out of nowhere. I don't know if that's what they were going for with that, but maybe I'm just looking into it a bit too deep. That's the way I perceived it. That's what I took away from it. But it was a great little spot. And I actually saw a video literally just before I turned the mic on and started recording of some crowd footage of that exact moment. And from their angle, it looked brutal, which is great. It's supposed to look like that, obviously. It's supposed to look like that. But no, it was really good. And I wish I could have seen more of it. I mean, it wouldn't be the Dits on Wrestling podcast, and it wouldn't be Raw and SmackDown highlights if I were to completely leave out Bray Wyatt, because once again, highlight wasn't as good as Randy because the Fiend's time on camera was short. I mean, again, I'm literally going off what YouTube supplied me, so maybe he was on there more, but from what I saw, it was obviously Finn versus Dolph, and then the Fiend, lights were going off, and then you had the dong sound, and then the shrieking, and then you had the Fiend briefly for about 10-15 seconds, whatever it was, and then he went away. That's what YouTube showed me. Whether it was there for more, I don't know. But at the moment, anything to do with the Fiend, I am completely on board with. Anything to do with Bray Wyatt, so like the Funhouse aspect of it is really good. And I did enjoy the Funhouse segment this week. It was more Rambling Rabbit this time round. But then obviously Bray came in, and he was only there for a little bit, did the whole let me in thing, and then that was it. End of segment. But he cannot put a step wrong, cannot put a foot wrong right now. They have, it's mental to me that they've managed to maintain the Funhouse, the Fiend, Wyatt's momentum from the moment it started, when we were all kind of like, what the hell is this, to right now when we're all so excited to see the Fiend at SummerSlam. I mean, I don't know how it's going to look, or how it's going to play out, but that's the joy. That's what I'm most looking forward to. Just seeing exactly how his match with Finn Balor at SummerSlam works out. I'm really looking forward to it. And then, I mean, come on, Trish Stratus showed up on SmackDown this week. Of course, it was advertised beforehand. She went on the King's Court with Jerry the King Lawler, and we all knew why she was. The moment it was advertised, we knew, because of rumors, that there was going to be a Trish versus Charlotte match set up for SummerSlam, and that's what we got. We got Trish talking initially, and the crowd really wanting that one more match, and then Charlotte came out, and a little bit of back and forth, And then Trish ultimately said, to be the woman, you've got to beat the woman. So, I mean, will Trish win at SummerSlam? No, she won't. Does Charlotte need that win? No, she doesn't. But Charlotte can be the person that says, I beat Trish Stratus. Like, if you're looking at it from a purely era versus era, you know, you can take something away from that. You can say that, you know, I'm not only the best in mine, but I'm also the best in yours. So from that point of view, it looks really good for Charlotte. Really does. And I'm excited for it. And it's good to see that the women have got quite a strong showing at SummerSlam as well. You got you got Charlotte Trish now. You got Bayley Ember Moon. Potentially, the women's tag team championships in a triple threat. Maybe that's what they're going through. And I mean, I'm just talking SmackDown side. So SmackDown could supply 3 matches. So it's good. It's looking good. I mean, it was only a couple of weeks ago where we were getting the hashtag give WWE women a chance again. Now, that whole thing was coming up, but I think people just jumped the gun a little bit on it. You know, there was so much other stuff going on. And yes, no, I completely, you know, see where people are coming from. You know, you shouldn't, just because you have legends and stuff showing up, doesn't mean you should cut the women's time. But there was a lot of people on the show whose time got cut, you know, to cater for these people coming on. But just because it was the women, it was highlighted a little bit more. So I think it was a little bit premature for that hashtag to get out, because now they're right back in the spotlight again, and it's good. It's exactly where they should be. But that was SmackDown. Unfortunately, I wish I could talk about it more. But annoyingly, Sky Sports in the UK have completely ruined it for me this week. So I think from now on, I'm going to check before it starts recording the live show to make sure it's actually going to bloody work, so I can watch it the next day. Now, obviously, we're going into some tweets from you guys. At WWE Critics said, what I want to know about this Roman Reigns cliffhanger, where was Rikishi? I did it for The Rock. I did. Oh, shut up, you thong-wearing fatty. Great Rock moment, that. Yeah, where was Rikishi? Oh, yeah, that Roman Reigns thing, by the way. Jesus, what was that? It was very, very random. Buddy Murphy is the guy that people are saying it is. So, if it is, excited. Aidan Beswick said, someone casually trying to murder Reigns. I'm assuming Samoa Joe. If not, I wouldn't turn my nose up to Daniel Bryan being behind it. Ooh. Aidan, that's very interesting. I mean, I think based on the picture that I saw of, you know, the person lurking in the background, I think it is Buddy Murphy. But if it's Daniel Bryan, that's interesting. I'd be for that. You know. I would be for that. I mean, the name is just a bumblebee emoji, but at Ward_Kane1, I wouldn't be against Randy Orton winning the title at SummerSlam. You know what? Me neither. I love Randy Orton, as I've said. I mean, to be honest, I want Kofi to retain, but if Randy was to win, I would not be upset. That's all I'm saying. DC Matthews, if KO does have to quit, I hope we see a mass superstar terrorizing SmackDown Live. El Generico. Generico. Love that tweet. It put a smile on my face, that tweet. I enjoyed that. So, DC Matthews, kudos to you. Nerd Talk, Derek. Jesus Christ. I'm just going to call you Nerd Talk. Otherwise, I'll get tongue-tied. SmackDown Live last night was good. I think there is only one thing I didn't care much for, which was the Charlotte Trish segment. It felt awkward to me, but everything else on the show was good. I'm glad we didn't have Shane on there, except for the opening. I give SmackDown a B+. That seems fair. That seems like a fair grade. But yeah, that was your tweets for SmackDown Live. Now, again, I mean, it wouldn't be fair on SmackDown if I was to supply a voice clip for Raw and not for SmackDown. So this week, and this is the start of a continuing thing, I have a voice clip from one Gregory Mosser, who is going to give us his rundown on SmackDown Live.
Hi, my name is Greg, and I was given the opportunity to share my thoughts on SmackDown Live. I thought the show started out really good as soon as Shane McMahon left the air. The match between Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre was really great. Loved the ending sequence, and glad to see KO's still walking around after taking that butt bump on the table. Really good pace match. I like Dolph Ziggler's promo. I thought it was really good, and I love the Kardashian sister line. Aleister Black's promo was really good, and I would like to see him feud with The Fiend and Demon Finn Balor here pretty soon. Ember Moon and Bayley's feud's building. I like how they're maintaining both the babyface personas in both of them, and I thought the match between them two and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross was really good. Sami Zayn's promo was absolutely awesome. I'm a huge fan of him, and him and Aleister Black is going to be awesome at SummerSlam. I really like throwing them the clip of the Big Show's new show. If you guys haven't seen Rebuilding Big Show, I highly suggest that you watch it. Noted here that Carl Anderson doesn't want any more champagne. I thought that was really funny. The Firefly Funhouse was really, really awesome. I giggled like a schoolgirl when it came on. Great to see Ramblin' Rabbit return from being blended roadkill. They're re-showing the Brock versus Seth Rollins attack. That was pretty brutal. I think they're really building a lot of heat between the two of them, building into SummerSlam. So, Ali versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Hopefully this will turn into an Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam. I can't wait to see that. Knock on wood. Roman Reigns at the end of the show, he basically no-sold almost dying, which is basically something in WWE that only Roman Reigns can do. I really thought that the whole show was absolutely fantastic, and especially because Shane McMahon wasn't there in person. I can't ask for more. They basically gave him a little bit of airtime so he could spew his verbal vomit. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity again. Again, my name's Greg, and I appreciate you listening.
Now, I have to say a big thank you to Greg for supplying that voice clip today, because I did have somebody else lined up, but they were unable to do it because they have a lot of stuff on, so they'll be next week's voice clip. But I reached out to Greg. He said that he could do it last minute, and fair play to him. I mean, you can hear the rustling of papers there, so it sounds like he's prepared some notes, which is good. I mean, I need to take notes for my Dits versus Josh podcast, which you should totally go and check out, by the way. I have to take notes for that. But it seems like you made more notes than I make based on, trying to defeat somebody else in an episode of a podcast. So kudos to you for not only doing it last minute, but also getting some notes together for it. So, Greg, thank you for supplying that voice clip. Hope to see you on here again very, very soon. But that was SmackDown. Good show. Good round of WWE this week. Really, really good. And, has me optimistic for the Go Home shows next week before SummerSlam. Oh, boy. But there you go. That is SmackDown. They are the highlights out of the way. Now, before we get into my chat with Josh Robinson about the 24/7 Championship, we do have enough time for a little bit of a Q&A. So let's get into that. Now, Tyler asked me a question for last week's show, and I completely forgot to answer it. So I'm answering it today. He asked, do I see Aleister Black becoming a champion by the end of the year? If I look at who he came up with Ricochet. And Ricochet is, he's already been US champion, and he's already back in the US title picture for SummerSlam. So, based on that, it's hard to argue that Aleister Black won't have picked up some gold by, the end of the year. realistically, we're probably looking at the IC title, and it's lost a little bit of its prestige. I mean, we've been saying that for years. It really has. But if he is going to win any belt this year, I'd say it's going to be the IC title, and I can't see any reason why it couldn't happen, because Aleister Black is awesome. Got so much time for Aleister Black. He's fantastic. Next question. It's like Josh Robinson is trying to take over this show. He asked, who is my go-to Mario Party and Mario Kart character? Honestly, I mean, everyone kind of goes to Mario, don't they? That Mario it's his game. So I always feel bad for Luigi. I always have felt really bad for Luigi. So he is always my go-to guy. And if it's not him, I do like a little bit of Yoshi. That cute little green little guy. Love Yoshi. So it's either, I mean, I must have a thing for green things. So it's either Luigi or Yoshi. And then Sharon H asked my favorite UK David Brent song. Oh my god. He has so many good songs. The album that he released for Life on the Road, the movie that he did, is actually a really good album. I know it's it's a mockery album, like it's a parody album, if you will, but it's a hell of a lot of fun, and there are actually some genuinely good songs on there. But I mean, Free Love Freeway, that is the David Brent song, so that'll always be up there. But for me, Equality Street is really good because you got Doc Brown on it as well, and his whole verse is unbelievable. I've memorized it. It's very rare when I memorize rap, but I've memorized it. And the fact that the David Brent side of it is in a Rasta accent when it's supposed to be Equality Street. Why he's gone for that, I don't know. That's why it's funny. So I'd say that's my favorite song by David Brent, just ahead of Free Love Freeway. But there you go. Only 3 questions this was, 2, and then 1 from last week. So obviously keep those questions coming in because I'll answer anything: wrestling, video games, music, whatever. Get to know me. That's what Q&As are all about. Get to know me. So yeah, that's the Q&A. Now let's get into the brand new segment of the Dits on Wrestling podcast, where I just talk about anything topical. This week, talking about the 24/7 championship. Here we go. Hey, we're sitting here with Josh Robinson. As many of you will know, he is my co-host of Dits versus Josh, and actually he's the only other guest I've had on so far on the Dits on Wrestling podcast as well. So it only seemed fitting that when I went down this path of a new dawn and shaking things up on the podcast, that I went straight to Josh, because it's nice to have a little bit of home comfort. And we want to talk about the 24/7 championship. It's something that every single week has arguably got better and better and better as it's gone along. Everyone completely shat on it as soon as Mick Foley pulled it out of that bag. But to see it go from there to where it is now, it has gone on leaps and bounds. And I think that's just it's a testament to the guys who are just willing just to accept their place on the roster, where they stand, and just go with it. It just gives them free reign to do stuff. Now, you've already heard what I think about Maria Kanellis becoming the 24/7 champion on Raw this week. Josh, how do you feel about the first ever pregnant champion?
Well, I'm completely loving everything that's kind of going on with Mike and Maria in general. I know a lot of people are like, it's this, it's this, it's this. I've loved every minute of it because I'm a big Mike and Maria fan. I think they're fantastic. So, hey, I get more of them on my screen in any capacity. But her winning the championship is very interesting because, listen, this the 24/7 title is what it's comedy based, and it's entertaining, it's fun, it's silly, it's not meant to be a lot of thought. But now we're going down this kind of route. It's like, who wants to pin a pregnant woman? Nobody. No one wants to touch a pregnant woman. She's pregnant. So it's like, where do we kind of go from here? The possibilities are, you can go in so many different ways, and that's what I kind of like about it, is that there actually is some thinking involved behind the 24/7 title now. When really it's fun, and that's awesome, and I love that. But like, now there's actually you can go some complex routes with this. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, and I think the fact that I think what we've had so far, when you've had, it's very hardcore championship-esque, so it can literally happen anywhere, which we've seen. R-Truth got pinned by Jinder in full wrestling gear on a golf course. And then Drake at his wedding, we had that whole thing, and then the hotel room when he's trying to consummate the marriage. Bless him, he still hasn't done it.
Poor guy.
But when Maria was walking past all the guys after she just won it, and she said, I have an appointment on Thursday with a gynecologist or whatever it is, and she's going to be there with her legs up and stuff, you kind of think at this point that could happen.
Well, anything is really possible. Anything is possible with that title, because, like, I think it's like the thing I love the most about this championship is that the first time everybody's seen it, the first thought was that title is horrendous. It's ugly.
Yeah.
It's not the most pretty championship we've ever seen. However, what they've done since then, from then to now, it's like so organic. That's what I like about it. It's like an organic, like, it's low key become the hottest thing on the program just in general. Like, there's really no wrong you can do with this title at this point anyway. Like, knock on wood, don't want to jinx anything, but I'm pretty confident you could put it on like pretty much anyone, and they could make something work with it, which is what I kind of really love about the title.
I mean, case in point, Gerald Briscoe last week.
I mean, yeah. That Raw reunion stuff with all of those title changes, I thought were fun. Like, this is just silly. Like, the fact that I'm not going to call her Alundra Blaze because her name is Medusa. Medusa, that's a different title, a different topic for a different podcast. Medusa just, like, literally, Ted DiBiase came out and was like, I'll buy it. And she's like, yeah, cool. Like, that just made me laugh. And I was like, yeah, cool.
Which just owes to the complete silliness that is the 24/7 championship, which is what this is the thing. When you scroll through social media and anything that relates to the 24 championship, I think it's 75-25 on a ratio. 75% of people are loving it. They think it's fun. They think it's a little bit different. That people can just accept it for exactly what it is. It's not meant to be taken seriously. I mean, come on.
No.
Drake Maverick got pinned by R-Truth to lose that belt whilst he was in his underwear. Like, it's not meant to be taken seriously in any way, shape, or form. Then you've got the 25% of people that just completely shit all over it. And it's just because WWE have tried something different. I say they've tried something different. It's obviously happened before with the Hardcore Championship, but you got to build it around the PG side of things. We're in a completely different era now, so it's harder to make that work. So people just need to...
They have.
People need to accept that, when WWE make a change, like, you don't have to just full on straight away attack it. I mean, admittedly, I'll put my hands up as soon as it happened and Mick Foley pulled that thing out. I was like, what the hell is that? And then...
it was ugly, yeah.
It was an awful reveal as well. And then everyone came belting out to fight over, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a muddled mess. Every single week we're just going to have guys chasing each other. By SmackDown, I was happy because it was something different. It was entertaining. It took us... I mean, WWE was terrible at that point.
Yeah.
And the reason I have you on here is because we share... I think we share same opinions about, where WWE is at the moment. And I think at the moment it's the most consistently good that it's been in a very long time.
Everything's just killing it at the moment. Like, I'm just genuinely into like 95% of everything. I'm like, yep, I'm cool with all of this. It's flowing nice. There hasn't been a quote unquote bad Raw, I think, for the last month and a half. Like, there hasn't been a bad show. I've enjoyed consistently pretty much everything.
Yeah, and I honestly think the catalyst for all of that you could argue that it's the 24/7 championship.
You could, really, because the show is like, although like the segments are small, they're placed throughout the show enough to kind of go, okay, where is it now? Where is it now? They're not just putting it all in one segment and then that's it for the rest of the show. I've noticed they're actually letting shows flow a little bit better lately. Like things are actually kind of just naturally happening instead of being like segment. It's very like, oh, sometimes it's here and then it's placed over here. The 24/7 title's really been the kind of the glue in segments. Like when too much wrestling is happening, chuck on this segment because it's just, 4 minutes of just nonsense. And then you can kind of get back to whatever else is on the show, whether it be Raw or SmackDown.
Absolutely. And the thing that astounds me, and I mean, this is case in point last week, and to be fair, you can argue for the last couple of weeks with the 24/7 belt. When it comes to storylines and storytelling, character development, and all that kind of stuff, where better can you find that in WWE right now than the 24/7 championship? Every single show that they do, from the first segment, I mean, I'd say average it has about 3 segments per show. I think it's fair to say. But from that first segment, building all the way to the third, you have steady storyline progression, steady storytelling. There's something going on, and it all makes sense. It's all consistent. Then you got the stuff on social media as well, which helps. Going in the background. Drake Maverick is killing all of that side of things. And you could argue that it's better than any of the main storytelling that is going on, that is supposed to be the stuff that we're taking seriously with WWE. But the thing is, when people see something that is succeeding in WWE, like they find it hard to accept it for whatever reason. Like, AEW for life, all this kind of stuff, whatever. I find it absolutely astounding that nobody can see the worth that the 24/7 championship has to WWE right now. It's so important to WWE right now.
It is. It's really just fun. It's just, like I said, it's organically become the best part about the program. And WWE are now kind of like sillily, in a silly way. I mean, Raw started yesterday with a 24/7 championship video package. And it's like without admitting it, they admitted that it is the best thing about the company at the moment, but in a silly way, if you understand what I mean. Anyone that watched that video package will get it. But it's just really been fun. It's just fun. I like I love a good serious storyline, and I love getting involved and being like, oh my God, this is it. But I also like, some of my favorite parts of wrestling is just the stuff where I don't really have to think about it, and I'm not thinking about it. I'm just watching whatever's on my screen. There's nothing. It's like being a kid and watching wrestling, essentially.
Yeah, and the rewarding thing is, I've been saying this for weeks on this podcast, like since I'd say a good month and a half ago. Funnily enough, when this whole belt came in, I've just completely switched my mind off to wrestling as a whole, and when I watch it, I don't overthink it. I don't scroll through my Twitter feed and just see outpours of negativity. Because it's just because you find yourself like absorbing that and taking it on board. And you're just like, that's not what I actually think, but I've seen it that many fucking times as I've been scrolling through. I'm actually starting to believe it myself. But I think
it is weird like that, because I've actually stopped reading dirt sheets and stuff like that in the last 3 weeks. I don't read anything like backstage news on this, so I'm just I have to literally watch whatever's on my screen, and that's the only thing I can take in. It's not like, this is advertised for, Hell in a Cell, or this is advertised for Survivor Series, so they can't win here. It's like, I'm just taking in for whatever's on my screen. It works a lot better in any aspect.
Exactly. So, you've been enjoying WWE more since you've been doing that. I've been enjoying WWE more since doing that. It is a simple fix for everybody saying, I'm no longer watching WWE anymore. Just stop paying attention to all the crap that's going on.
Don't overanalyze it.
Exactly. And I'm guilty of that when I started this podcast.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, exactly. It was all I ever did. I was just like, right. So I need to talk about Raw and SmackDown. I've got my own opinions in my head, but nobody wants to hear those. I'll basically take whatever other people have said and then put my own spin on it, which is wrong. Like, I don't care anymore what other people are saying.
Just watching it, and I'm giving my opinion on what is on my screen. I'm not going, but Randy can't win at SummerSlam because he has to take time off soon. It's like, I don't know what people are doing. It's none of my business. I'm just watching the product.
Exactly. And all of that, you can just grab that 24/7 championship. You can put it straight to the back of your mind where you can watch the show and then you can forget about it straight away. But the only thing you need to retain is the fact that you enjoyed it. And I get that every single time I see it, whether it's Drake posting, his honeymoon videos with the bell, or it's R-Truth dressed as a lamp, trying to convince the Iconics that he's a lamp.
That was funny.
It was. I don't care what it is. Just switch off. Just
switch enjoy
off
it.
And just enjoy it. And that's the whole... I think that's the key to the whole thing.
That's the whole point of enjoying any television show. I think sometimes people overanalyze wrestling as a whole. At the end of the day, it's a television show. Just watch it as it is. You don't overanalyze storylines in 13 Reasons Why. So why do it here? It's essentially they're out to do the same thing, entertain you. So just watch it for what it is.
Now, because we're both enjoying it at the moment, what do you think is its longevity, realistically?
See, that's the thing is like, because I'm not thinking about it, I'm almost to the point where I haven't even thought about the fact that this probably has a bit of a timestamp on it. Like at some point or another, this is just going to be like, okay, this has been done. It was fun. Now it's just you're milking it dry. And we'll get to that stage at some point. But whether that's a year from now, whether that's 2 months from now, whether that's 4 years from now, I really don't know. But it does have a lifespan on it. It isn't indefinite, I don't think, unless you can keep it fresh with doing other things. But essentially at its core, what's fun about it is that it's chaotic. Yeah. So chaos has so much that you can get out of it before it becomes a little bit like, ugh. But again, I'm just writing it as long as we can. But it does have somewhat of a timestamp on it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Just like the Hardcore Championship had back in the day. But the thing that I really, really like when it comes to the 24/7 Championship is WWE are known for when something gets over, they fucking ruin it within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about fandangoing. That just went as soon as it went in the UK charts, which was absolutely amazing, by the way. The fact that got in the charts, that was ruined within 2 or 3 weeks, and that ruined Fandango. But the 24/7 Championship, they know it's over, and it's not been ruined.
They're being
yet.
smart. They're being smart about it. Like, really, on paper, when you're like, oh my god, Maria Kanellis is the champion, she's pregnant. In some ways, you could think, if you wanted to overanalyze it, you could think, oh, this is just, they've booked themselves into a wall. But for some reason, the 24/7 Championship is the only thing in WWE that seems to have long-term booking. It seems like everything they've done has had a plan behind it. And I think this whole stuff with Mike and Maria from weeks, with the whole pregnancy thing and then, calling him a woman and then saying she's going to kick him in the vagina. I think this has all had like a plan, and it's like, this is going somewhere. Obviously they're not going to put a championship on a pregnant lady because really you can't just wing that because she's pregnant. There's only so much that she can physically, is allowed to do.
Yeah.
So you can't just put that championship, be like, oh, we'll take it off her in a few weeks. It's fine. There's only a few options that you really have that will make it great. Mike is obviously one of them, and then wherever else you want to go. But I just love it. Honestly, I just love it.
I mean, strangely, Braun might be thrown in the mix. They have
I've
a little
seen
thing
that
backstage.
Hey, it's something for people to do. When people are like those, where you said about those 25% of people that are whinging about it, it's like, wait a minute, those 25% of people are also the ones that's like, oh, this match is happening for no reason. These people are running around for no reason. These people are doing backstage segments for no reason. Hey, if you're not doing anything, it's pretty easy just to be tossed into the chaos of the 24/7 Championship, and you have something to do. There is a reason for you to be on my screen. It's like anyone that's not being used can be placed into the 24/7 stuff, and you have something to do.
And it doesn't hinder them in any way because Cedric,
No.
Initially was going for that belt, and look at him now. He was in
He's
the main
fighting
segment of
Drew.
Raw. EC3, on the other hand, you could probably argue that things haven't turned out quite as well for him, but people were talking about him.
But it's not like he was doing anything beforehand.
No.
So he was in there, he was on screen, and then it's like he's not doing anything after it. So it's just a matter of he's not being... I think he's still one of the ones running around, isn't he? Trying to chase for it, maybe.
Yeah, I saw him in the background when Maria was walking down the lobby saying that nobody can pin me because I'm pregnant. He stood there.
What a heel. What a heel. Just get pregnant. What a heel.
So, before I let you go, favorite 24/7 champion so far?
You see, I want not
the two obvious ones either.
I was going to say the obvious easiest ones are R-Truth and Drake.
Yeah.
But
that would be an easy question. I don't do easy questions on the Dits on Wrestling podcast.
Let me have a little sus here. Favorite? I mean, Jinder was pretty great. The fact that he won on a golf course and then was pinned on a plane. I mean, you can't really hate that. If I'm not going to choose R-Truth or... Wait, no. I'm going to go Gerald Briscoe. Yeah, I'm going to go Gerald Briscoe. Oh, wait. Candice Michelle. No, I'm going to change it. Candice Michelle because she did the whole like booty twirl thing, and then... I mean, you can't hate on Candice Michelle. The fact that Melina was the referee, what a plan.
For a second, I actually thought there's a reason why me and Josh are co-hosts, because we think alike. And then you changed it. Gerald Briscoe, for me, is the best so far, just purely because I didn't see it coming. Gerald fucking Briscoe.
All of those, though.
Patterson
I could change it again. I could go Medusa just for the fact that she sold it to Ted DiBiase. I mean, what a moment. And she was going to put it in the bin. She was like, fuck this.
And just because it's come to me, I'm just going to throw it out here. Who, as well, out of anybody who hasn't won it yet, who would you think would be able to win that belt and just get to R-Truth and Drake Maverick levels of entertainment and success with it?
That's easy. It's V1 Matt Hardy.
Oh,
easily.
God, yes.
Matt Hardy could be fantastic because you just think of all of those things that Matt Hardy has in his arsenal, all of his characters. Could you imagine someone winning the championship on House Hardy? I'm just saying, in that Hardy compound. Oh.
Mind blown.
Matt Hardy.
You could do some ridiculous things with that.
Yep. Matt Hardy. That is not even a hard question.
Would they go as ridiculous as Vanguard 1, the fucking drone, pinning somebody?
The possibilities of Matt Hardy being... You could have Maxwell as the champion. King Maxwell could become the champion. The youngest champion ever.
And they would sell that to shit on social media as well.
Yeah, and it would be amazing. It would be amazing.
But I think ultimately what we can take away from this is that the 24/7 championship, despite the fact that it had a very rocky start straight out of the blocks, it's a success so far.
It's fire. It's fucking fire. It's great. I love it to bits.
And so should
I love it to Dits.
Oh, no. Right. Yeah, I'm going to have to end that on that terrible pun. But no, thank you for coming on, Josh. You are the first guest of this renewed podcast experience known as the Dits on Wrestling podcast. So it's been a pleasure, as always. Of course.
Anytime.
And I will see you on Saturday when I kick your ass on Dits versus Josh, which you should go and check out.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know that.
I mean, because this is a weekly thing, we can say it because, it's Thursday now. So the vote would have stopped today. I think we're 50-50 at the moment.
Yes, at the time of this recording, we're 50-50. But a tie is worse than a loss for me.
Oh, God, yeah.
So
especially when you lost last week as well.
I'm not having a tie. I'll lose my actual shit. Check it out this Saturday.
Yeah. So apart from Dits versus Josh, where can they check you out?
Brainbuster Radio is my home for Wrestling Reverb every single Friday. Just search for Wrestling Reverb or Brainbuster Radio on your favorite podcasting device, streaming service, whatever you want to call it. And the Josh Robinson Show is every Tuesday. If you just search The Josh Robinson Show, you will find it wherever you listen to podcasts. And find me doing whatever else I'm doing. I'm usually on YouTube or on Twitch or something, or on Twitter. I'm always shit posting.
Yeah, go on. Like, seriously now, just honestly, go and check out Josh's podcast. Go and check out his Twitch, because, you know, not only is he a good guy, he's a good content creator as well, and he deserves more eyes or more ears.
Look
or
at
both.
you putting me over.
Hey, I have to do these things. I mean, you're a dick, but you're my co-host, so I kind of have to.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
No, thank you for coming on, mate.
No worries.
Well, that was a fun little chat with Josh Robinson there. I mean, it's easy to talk to Josh, as I am a co-host with him on Dits versus Josh. It flows. It's easier than most. I trust Josh to join me on such things. So, yeah, big thanks to Josh for coming out and doing that for me today on this new look episode of Dits on Wrestling. And that is it for this week. Oh my God, like, this has been a very, very busy episode to throw together. Like, usually because I'm on my own, I just set up my mic and talk, and then it's done. Sometimes I'll throw, like, music in. Obviously I've got my imaginary producer to help me with that kind of stuff, but I throw all that kind of stuff in, and that's about as hard as it gets. But I've been chasing people down, to do something, not in a bad way, because, I wanted to. Been, getting on people's bags to do stuff, and, trying to think of stuff to say, and, what structure to go with, and busy episode today. And it's taken a lot longer to throw together. But I have thrown it together because obviously you have listened to the vast majority of this pod. And I hope you enjoyed it. That's the main thing. I hope you enjoyed it, because that's ultimately why I'm making the change. I think this will be a lot more enjoyable for you guys. So you're not just hearing me. You're hearing, like, me bouncing off other people and people bouncing off me. And I think it's good to have a solo thing. It really is. And this is technically still a solo podcast, but it's good to have other opinions coming in. And, the main thing I really wanted to do, especially with those voice clips that we heard earlier on for SmackDown and Raw, these are guys who, obviously don't have their own podcasts. I mean, sometimes I will have people, that do have podcasts that will supply voice clips, but the main reason for those is, these guys, either, they don't have podcasts, or, they, some people just don't have the confidence to go on to podcasts in a conversation format. So just what you heard with me and Josh, stuff like that. So with voice clips, you can just do that in the comfort of your own home. Say whatever you want to say in your, 2-3 minute window. And there you go. That's all you have to do. You don't have to talk to anybody. You literally just send it to me and I put it into the episode for you. And that, that is it. And then, people get to hear what you have to say on, the current climate in wrestling, whatever it is, Raw and Smackdown, pay-per-views, AEW, New Japan, the G1, whatever. And I think that's really good. I think that was always what my intention was, from the get-go. As soon as I released a teaser and said guest spots, that's kind of what I was aiming for. And now, pretty much everything that I wanted this podcast to be has now been realized with this episode, which is good. But now it's in the bag, and now I just have to keep this up. And I tell you what, next week I'm definitely keeping things going. I have my first ever wrestler interview. My first interview, full stop. I've never interviewed anybody in my life, and yeah, this is, I mean, I'm nervous about it. I haven't done it before, so, a small part of me is like, am I going to be any good at actually, leading this thing? But you guys be the judge. I'll release the details on who it is Monday next week, but I'm pretty excited for it. A lot of you people will know him. he's a great guy. Really is a great guy, and I'm really looking forward to sitting down and chatting with him. And yeah, I think you guys are going to love the chat as well. So really looking forward to having him on. So that's what we got next week. And what I hope we don't have next week is another hack. I can't be doing with that again. Like that. I mean, this is supposed to be the new dawn. This is supposed to be, something fresh and all that kind of stuff. And then you get some idiot coming in and ruining everything for everybody. But hey, we're up in the security. That's not going to happen again next week. But there you go. That was the Dits on Wrestling podcast, episode 14, A New Dawn. And it is a new dawn, and it's an exciting dawn. And I cannot wait to, keep this format going. But obviously, I appreciate feedback, positive and negative, as long as it's constructive criticism. So, hit me up on social media. Get in touch with me at Dits on Wrestling over on Twitter. Slide into my DMs. I have no issue there. It's an open door, if you will. You can just tell us what you thought about it, or comment on the post for the episode itself. Tell me if you liked it. Tell me, if you didn't. See if anything I can improve on. Whatever. I'm always open to suggestions. I'm also over on Instagram. Same tag at Dits on Wrestling. Trying to build the Instagram side of things up, and YouTube as well is something that I really, really want to put some focus into now. Now that my face is out there, it's been my profile picture for a couple of weeks now. My face is out there, so I have no reason not to really throw stuff together on YouTube now. So look out for that, because YouTube stuff is coming. It's not going to be like groundbreaking stuff, but it just adds an extra layer onto the Dits on Wrestling podcast, which is good. So you'll eventually be able to find me on YouTube. And I've said it for the last 14 episodes. Eventually, stuff will be on there, but there is actually a conscious effort now to really build that YouTube channel, into something a little bit more. Did someone say power rankings on there? Maybe. Am I anywhere else? The podcast itself. There we go. The podcast itself. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, as part of the SLTD podcast network. It's anywhere where you can get podcasts, essentially. And then apart from that, the new WWE fan art of the week dropped last Friday. A new one will drop tomorrow, the Friday again. Really good reception. I did it before. It's returned now. I really enjoyed doing it last week, so that'll continue over on sltdwrestling.com, so keep an eye out for that. But apart from that, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to just listen to this guy from Plymouth in the UK just talk shit about wrestling. I appreciate it more than you realize. I really do appreciate it. Have yourselves a really good week, until I see you again next Thursday. Take it easy, guys. Ciao, ciao.